The title of the exhibition is Some Screen Mods. The word some describes an unknown quantity, very direct because I wasn't sure how many paintings or objects would be in the show. The word screen refers very specifically to these the aspect ratios of these paintings. They are an historical aspect ratio from mid-20th century, which is a widescreen format. They are two really interesting ones. One is Panavision, and the other is this one called Todd A.O., named after this guy Michael Todd, who was a producer of films in Hollywood and was one of the many husbands of Elizabeth Taylor. And so finally, mods is some jargon, some video game jargon that is short for modifications. These films, when they're fixed to the screen, are modifications. The process of making the paintings involves sourcing films, and those I find on eBay. I've insinuated myself into some film collectors clubs, and I've figured out how to destabilize the emulsion by basically just cutting into the film, immersing it in this bath, which is quite of low toxicity, basically just detergent. And depending on how well the film has been preserved, it may take a couple of hours for me to extract the information off the celluloid, or it might take a couple of days. Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. The film is extracted off the celluloid. I pull the clear celluloid out of the bath. I discard it. I have the film in a liquid state. I use a little clear acrylic gel that I mix with the film so that it'll have a kind of, it'll allow me to make a paint out of it so that I can then adhere it to the canvas. And then basically I use sprayers from like large format airbrushes. Ultimately, when it's fixed to the canvas, it becomes a material projection in its final form. The sculpture is new. The antenna form, interests me because it's becoming less and less visible in the daily landscape. It's disappearing quite rapidly. And so I was even surprised, really, that I could actually buy them new. I've got a couple other painting projects. Those are not represented in the show, but I'm very much interested in this sort of culture of the video game cheat. The literary style interests me a lot. It's like super terse, like declarative sentences, like go left, go right, hit the guy. It's just really, really simple. The password paintings. This is something that I've been doing since 2009. Basically what I do is I take a password like unanon, I put it in the password checker, and then I start just like entering spaces in between the letters until it like expands it out. When it finally tells me that like my password is strong, I know that like I've got my configuration, and then I can make a painting out of it. It's got a little bit of a punchline, because if you're going to engage with this work critically and you're going to assess it as a weak painting, then actually, frankly, my response to you would be like, no, it's actually a strong painting because I have the evidence here. It's been proven through my password checker. I'm well aware of the fact that this show in this physical space is going to have this presence online. I like that a lot. Again, I think that once you think about the binary of of digital and analog, once you get to that point where it does become this kind of thing that's on a spectrum, because if I'm making an exhibition down there in a physical space, but I'm also making it online, there isn't this binary anymore. I'm making this exhibition somewhere in this space along this spectrum. I'm not an artist who has that obsession with responding to the specific architecture. But in this case, I'm actually responding to the architecture a little bit. So I guess that's what I would say. That seems like the different thing that's happening here for me. Probably the next real thing that I'm going to do with physical objects is like start printing and painting on these prints. I don't know, I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I'm curious.